I was pastoring in Rumford, Rhode Island. You know where that is? East Providence.
Yep.
And I went to church in the morning, only across the driveway in the wall, which from the Partridge Church. So I got there, and there were some people already in, and there came quite a few adults that morning. I was surprised that there were so many. And the Lord blessed me, and the people seemed to be moved by the Spirit. And it was good service. And I thought to myself, I'm going to get a real, one that I can use to call them to prayer that night. So I worked all afternoon on a sermon and got it all ready to go, and I was all set. And I went over to church, and nobody was there at all. So pretty soon, a car pulled in, and it was one illiterate lady. She knew how to drive, but was very poorly educated. Not from English descent, that's one of the reasons why. And in the car, she had managed to squeeze 16 kids. And that's all that came that night. Well, the inclination is to try to make some excuse and change the course of everything. But I knew I could not use the sermon that I had prepared because it was a challenge for the adults. And it would just run over their head, and the whole sermon, full service would have been wasted. So I trusted the Lord to give me something that was adequate for these kids. And nothing happened. So I got up, led the service, and went through the singing, and all the preliminaries, and came right up to the point where it's time to preach, and still nothing happened. So I wasn't going to back down. He called me to minister to these people, and I was going to do it. So I got up, opened up the Bible, and as I did, the pages flipped over and all of them were just a little short ways apart. Like that. One word caught my eye: Jonah. And when that happened, God said, "Tell him a fish story." That was my only guidance. So I went back to the book of Jonah. That was only a short one, about 4 chapters, I believe. So I just took sketches out of it and gave him the story of Jonah's life, so it wouldn't be too long. And we were done. And so I said to the children, you wouldn't want some big fish to come and swallow you up at the end of your life, would you? And I still had to go on a little bit further. I said, if you really wouldn't, would you stand up? 16 kids stood up this way. I thought, well, maybe they don't understand me. So I said, if you'd like to come and receive Jesus in your heart, would you come down here to the altar and kneel, and I'll pray with you. 16 kids filed out just like that. And I took the time to pray with each one. And, there was a lot of conversions that happened that night. These kids were anywhere from about 5 or 6 up to, I think one was 18 or 19. And today, after, 30 years, some of those 16 kids are board members in that church that's carrying on the burden and the prayer and so forth to move the church ahead. The Roman Church. So, when you trust God, you act on it. You only can act what you know, it may seem very simple and maybe not too profitable, but to act on it. Because if you're acting on faith, you let Him carry the burden while you do what you know you ought to do. So that's when this whole thing started, and of course the church, not very long after that, I believe they tore down the church and built a bigger one. So you leave it in God's hands, and He can do what He can, and what really needs to be done. Amen.
Thank you, Francis. Do you remember that woman's name? Do you remember her name?
The woman, it was Mrs. Gamboa.
Okay.
I believe since she has gone back to the Cape Wood Islands. That's where they were from.